Dennis Milton here with BoxingWebinar.com. We're going to be talking a little bit about the fight that's actually going to be taking place later on tomorrow between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz. In the first bout between these two gentlemen, Ruiz upset Anthony with a seventh round knockout. He wasn't thought to be a threat to Anthony Joshua. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken the fight. But that's true. But actually, Joshua was supposed to fight someone else, and he stepped in when the opponent wasn't able to continue it. Okay, the opponent wasn't able to continue on with his career because the boxing organizations basically banned Brazil from the fight because of legal reasons as far as drug use. So Andy Ruiz comes in, and Andy, who was known back then or even now as being a pretty good fighter, a pretty good fighter, but it didn't look that way if you were a question of appearance because he wasn't that tall of a guy, and as far as the heavyweights are concerned, and his body was not that appealing of an athlete. But the argument or the defense to that is that he was a Mexican fighter, and Mexican fighters on the norm are not necessarily on the norm, not necessarily have the greatest bodies, like say of Anthony Joshua, who's basically was a physical specimen at 6'8", weighing somewhere in the range of 260 pounds. So he was someone that was highly appealing as far as when you're looking at when it was the question of accordance to looking at his opponent, or actually the audience looking at the actual bout between a guy that weighs 260 pounds and look pretty much all muscle, opposed to someone that like Andy's coming in. Supposedly he came in here for this particular fight is actually heavier than their previous fight. He came in at 83 pounds, 83.7 pounds for this particular fight. So he's put on quite a bit of weight from in reference to the last fight where Joshua is actually taking off quite a few pounds at 237 now for this particular fight. So these two gentlemen are going to be facing each other tomorrow. The first go round, Andy Ruiz defeated Anthony Joshua and took his belts from him. And now guess what? Anthony's trying to get those belts back, and he's been pretty serious, dedicated in the gym, and not basically saying anything that was out of order at any point, or even acting to some extent or to any extent out of order in reference to the fight with Anthony Joshua. Has been very professional the entire way, and that's not necessarily the protocol or the way gentlemen actually act in major fights. You get guys pushing, you get guys in some cases punching, in other cases biting, in other cases tripping. So there's a lot of stuff. Brawls break out between both camps in some cases, but for his to his credit, Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua, those things haven't taken place. Those things haven't transpired. Just both of them are basically behaving like gentlemen or like sportsmen, and not doing something that is going to be detrimental to them in the long run. And they should be commended. They should be commended for that, because that's not necessarily the case in boxing when you got two guys that are going up against each other in the ring that are in some cases really don't like each other. In other cases, not necessarily a question of not liking or liking. It's just that they just have an opponent that they have to um, um, conquer inside the ring, and they just leave it at that. That's something that's a little bit more advanced for some of the fighters that are basically been fighting um, based on the fact that they got emotions involved in the fight because they just want to win. They just want to win. They're not thinking about anything other than winning, and they kind of take that equation over into an equation as far as feelings and whatever for whatever reason they want to do harm to anything that resembles their opponent. So we haven't had that for this particular fight. And that's a commitment to both fighters as the sport grows. Hopefully, the fighters and the trainers, and then just the whole sport of boxing continues to grow. There's a lot of things happening in boxing, and a lot of them are good, and you're going to see a lot of changes and things as time goes on. It's very appealing to have your commentators, guys that actually are doing the talking or doing some of the work within the structure as far as boxing is concerned, are past individuals that were involved in the sport. Some such as me being one now, but I see a lot of guys um, on different different networks, different platforms that were actually once fighters or might have been a trainer, and that's good. That give these guys an opportunity to better themselves in life and still be a part of this sport of boxing. Because basically, when you become a boxer, a fighter, that's something that's going to live with you for the rest of your life. You're going to be going to boxing events. Maybe it might be a person that you train, or maybe a person that you didn't train but that and you just want to be involved with the sport and be around it. And so you go there, and a lot of times you meet people that you haven't seen in years, and that's very appealing. That's very appealing to you. There's been several instances where I will go to like Ring 10 is an organization that I'm actually a part of. It's a 501 501c3 organization that operates out of New York. We have an event there. We have an event at Marina Del Rey in the past every year to raise money to help fighters. And during those events, you got guys coming from all over the country, but actually in some cases from all over the world, just to come to the event and be a part of it, to support it, and also to see and meet friends that they haven't touched base with in years. But that's I'm taking off the issue of the act about the fight which is happening tomorrow Actually, in Saudi Arabia, actually in Saudi Arabia, this is like the first time for a major sporting event. I know the Zone is one of the um, companies that is going to be there putting the event on. Of course, there are others as well. Eddie Hearn, the mouth of the mouth of boxing at this particular time, is gonna be there as well. So that the event is gonna be something that you want to be a part of. If you can't be there in Saudi Arabia, um, in person, then you can watch it on any of the networks that'll be coming on that'll be broadcasting. I know the Zone is one of them, and I'm not too sure about the others. But I will put a tab up there on this video to let you know exactly who's going to be um, broadcasting this mega event. This mega event. I hope that everyone that is interested in boxing has the opportunity to see this because this is a step forward for boxing to actually going in a place that never has there's not been any boxing on a major scale like this here, or actually an international scale. That's what this fight is. It's not a national fight. It's an international fight, and actually both of the fighters are outside of the United States. They're actually from England, and then which is Anthony Joshua, and then Andy Ruiz is actually from Mexico. So they're not. Neither of them are from this country, from America. But and let me just say, assalamu alaikum to all my brothers and sisters out there in Saudi Arabia and all throughout the world for that matter. Um, and I think that there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the future in reference to Saudi Arabia, because Eddie Hearn is behind the scenes doing things that are looking to take boxing to another level. Okay, the boxing has constantly prospered, but not necessarily the fighters, because of people that were in control or in charge that didn't do the things that were necessarily right for everyone, but more so right for themselves. But that save that for another day. I want everyone that has the time put some effort in to getting to see this fight, because this fight, like I was gonna say earlier, is a mega. It's gonna be a mega event because it's not even here in America. It's outside of America. Um, it's a big event. I was telling a friend of mine yesterday that this this event is probably as big as or in the neighborhood of as Ali versus George Foreman in Zaire. But the only thing, neither one of the two fighters are actually from America. That's the amazing thing. You have an Englishman and you have a Mexican fighting in a worldwide event that's not even being held in America. That's fantastic for the sport of boxing, because that means that the sport is going around the world even more so, and the recognition of it is continuing to grow. So get ready for tomorrow, because I know these two gentlemen don't necessarily not like each other, but when the bell rings, guess what? That like or like not like each other is out the window. both of them are going to be there to take care of business. First time around, it was Anthony Joshua who got the short end of the stick. This time around, let's see who's going to get the short end of the stick. Maybe it might be him, Joshua again, but maybe it might be Andy Ruiz. But one thing I do know and understand that this event is going to be an event that you don't want to miss. So join me and everyone else around the world tomorrow to see this mega event. Andy Ruiz